네, 안녕하세요. 랩 2050의 이원재입니다. 반갑습니다. 저 오늘 세션은 5시 30분까지 진행하면 됩니까? 네, 5시 30분까지 압축적으로 진행하겠습니다. 근데 오랫동안 참 많이 기다리셨죠? 그래도 박진감 넘쳐서 좀 지루하진 않으셨죠? 자, 제가 오늘 초코 콘서트 같이 하실 기조 발제자분들 이미 보셨지만 한 분씩 모셔서 무대로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 꼭 무슨 골든글러브 발표하는 것 같은 느낌이 드네요. 먼저 메이어 일마 리팔로, 플리즈. 일마 리팔로 시장님 올라와 주시고 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다. 스웨덴 말메 전 시장님 기억하시죠? 그 다음에 샘 애덤스 포틀랜드 전 시장님 박수를 좀 맞아주시고요. 네, 그리고 고존 사가르디 시장님, 부시장님 지금 잠깐 자리 비우셨는데 돌아오시면 바로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 그리고 김경수 경남도지사님 모시도록 하겠습니다. 큰 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다. 네. 자리를 I'm gonna sit here. 네, 네. 지사님 그쪽에 앉으시네요. Yeah, please. You can sit there. 네, 드디어 우리의 스타, last but not the least. 바이스 메이어 사가르디, please. 사가르디 부시장님 모시겠습니다. 앞으로 빌바오 부시장님 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다. 네, 저는 아주 많이 배우고 흥미롭게 이야기를 들었는데요. 제가 또 경남 입장에서 또는 뭐 대한민국 입장에서 이 네 분 발제를, 하지만 도시장님께서는 우리 식구이시기 때문에 이제 그 세 분의 발제를 딱 들었을 때 이런 세 가지 생각이 났어요. 첫 번째로는 어쩌면 경남은 또는 한국은 최악의 시간을 맞고 있는 게 아니고 이제 초입일 뿐이다. 그래서 어떤 면에서는 엄청 두렵고 어떤 면에서는 미리 전환을 준비할 수 있는 시간이 좀 있다. 이런 생각을 첫 번째로 했습니다. 또 뭐 실업률 27% 이런 얘기 들으니까 이제 그런 생각이 드는 거죠. 두 번째로는 그런데 지금 우리가 흔히 하는 것처럼 4년짜리 계획이나 도지사의 계획이죠. 또는 5년짜리 계획, 이거 대통령의 계획이죠. 이런 계획 가지고는 안 되는구나, 애초에. 이게 굉장한 좌절을 또 낳게 합니다. 한국 정치 상황에서 이걸 넘어설 수 있을까? 이 이야기도 좀 나눴으면 하는 생각이 들었고요. 세 번째로, 이제 제 전공 분야 경제라서 경제, 비즈니스 얘기를 깊이 들었는데, 작은 비즈니스가 좋은 비즈니스일 수 있는 것. 그게 어떻게 가능할까? 한국에선 작은 기업은 안 좋은 기업이라서 도지사님 말씀하셨지만 청년들이 안 가려고 하는 기업이거든요. 이걸 어떻게 뒤집을 수 있나. 이런 세 가지 정도가 저는 머리에 질문으로 남았습니다. 그래서 같이 토론하시면서 이야기를 좀 해주시면 좋겠습니다. 토론 시작하기 전에요. 여러분들 스마트폰 다 있으세요? 스마트 시티, 지금 스마트 공장 하시니까 스마트폰 있으셔야죠. 안 웃으시네. 카카오톡 있으시면은 카카오톡 여시고 검색 버튼을 누르시면요. 검색 돋보기처럼 생긴 거 있습니다. 검색 누르시면 거기서 경남 한 칸 띄고 사회혁신 하고 검색을 하시면요. 몇 개가 뜨는데 오픈 채팅창이라는 탭을, 메뉴에 있는 탭을 누르시면 우리 오픈 채팅창에 방이 뜹니다. 찾으셨어요? 네. 들어오고 계십니다. 하나하나 들어오고 계세요. 경남 사회혁신 국제포럼이라는 채팅방으로 들어오셔서요. 거기에 혹시 질문이 있으시면 남겨주시면 제가 실시간으로 보면서 여기 저 연사분들께 바로 전달드려서 다는 수용 못할지도 모릅니다. 죄송합니다. 하지만 연관된 것들 빨리빨리 전달드려서 최대한 좀 답변하시도록 연결을 해보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 여러분들께서 접속하시고 그 질문 남기시는 동안에 첫 번째 질문은 우선 네 분께 다 짤막하게만 드리고 싶은데요. 그건 뭐냐면 그 발제를 서로 다 들으셨지 않습니까? 그 중에서 가장 인상적인 장면, 가장 인상적인 이야기, 다른 분들 발제 중에서 또는 이건 좀 물어보고 싶었다 하는 아주 짧은 거 한 가지씩만 혹시 있으시면은 얘기 좀 해주십시오. 한 가지씩. 네. 없으면 얘기 안 하셔도 돼요.
That's a very difficult question you made us. It's complicated.
Well, I thought the governor's presentation was the best.
Okay. 박수 보내주시죠. 우리 김경수 지사님 스피치가 가장 좋았어요.
Because he actually has to deal with these things, and we can just come in and say whatever we want.
Well, and also because it's easier to talk from a city experience than when you have more than one city with different needs and also different characteristics to try to develop all of them together. I would say that maybe that's why yours was the best. Not because you are the governor, not at all, but because you are trying to make different cities work together. And that's something very important. I think that sometimes we politicians are looking for ourselves a little bit, and we only think in terms of city. And network is very important. And not only in terms of international network, as there are so many working nowadays, but also in terms of territory. Different cities from the same province, as you are trying to improve, it's a good experience. Working together is always very helpful, I think.
예. 사실은 그게 제일 큰 고민이고 숙제입니다. 그러니까 우리가 18개 시군이 있는데 도가 경남도에서 지금 이런 방향을 가지고 추진하겠다고 하더라도 실제 우리 지역에 있는 시, 군, 도시들이 보조를 맞춰서 함께 가지 않으면 그러면 이게 현장에서의 변화가 일어나질 않습니다. 이게 어떻게 보면 뜬구름 잡는 얘기가 될 수밖에 없기 때문에 그래서 오늘 이제 이런 국제 포럼이 여기 참여하신 분들이 각 시군에서 실제 활동하시는 분들이 많이 있기 때문에 여러분들의 발제와 토론이 이게 경남도가 가고자 하는 방향이 저런 미래를 가지고 가는 거구나 이런 걸 설명해 줄 수 있다는 점에서 사실 대단히 저희들한테 중요하고 뜻깊은 거 아닌가 그런 점에서 다시 한번 감사드립니다.
팔로 시장님 혹시 코멘트 있으세요?
Yes, the presentations that we that came from Portland and Bilbao and Malmö came with all started with crisis, severe crisis. And when the crises are deep enough, then you are able to rethink and to change. And my question today is, isn't it as important today when so many people, especially young people, feel the fear for the future with the climate issue, with the stormy weathers, with the tornadoes, with flooding, with drought, with all these things that are coming up, that this is a crisis. And if you can see this as a crisis, then you can't just say that, I hope that somebody does something to that. So that you can involve the people to find solutions here. And that you can do in clusters with universities to address the questions, not to make the solution for the whole world, but make solutions for your neighborhood, to make solutions for your region, for your city, so that you show that we have knowledge enough to make a change. And I think that try to get that crisis so much in common that everybody, the companies, that everybody say that it is need to make a change. And if we can admit that, then we can find that we must find solutions in this or that direction. Even if I've been a planner for the biggest part of my professional life, I found out that the plans that we were doing, if there are 10, 15 or 20 years plans, that is not the right way of working. It's much better to put up directions that you have to go, because you have always the possibility to make change when new things that you don't think of today is coming up. You know, the problems that we are going to address tomorrow, that are those that are unforeseen from the development that we have today. And at that sort of mention to understand, we heard also about Bilbao, that a city is like an organism, and all organisms are changing. And it's to maneuver this change in the best way. Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said that we must understand our lives backwards, but we have to live them forwards. So in that way, the past and the future comes together. And I think that here the university, the NGOs, the business sector, if they can find that platform, then that could really make a change. And that could make a change for a city, for a village, for a region, and that put them on the map for being forerunners. And then the rest comes with the flow.
네, 감사합니다. 그 지금 이 채팅방에 저 질문이 하나 올라왔는데 지금 말씀하신 거하고 좀 관련이 있었어요. 친환경 도시를 그 세 분 외국에서 오신 시장님 다 강조를 하셨습니다. 근데 사실 저 도지사님께 좀 여쭤보고 싶기도 한데요. 한국에서 도시 재생한다거나 뭔가 이 사업을 할 때 친환경적으로 하기가 쉽지 않은 것 아닙니까? 어떻습니까?
지금 그 환경, 친환경 문제에 대한 국민들의 이제 관심은 대단히 높은데, 지방정부에서 추진하는 도시재생에는 우리 그 도시재생 전문가인 변창흠 시장님도 계시지만, 친환경이라는 테마보다는 요즘은 주로 이제 스마트 시티에 관한 게 많이 들어가 있고, 스마트 시티 안에 친환경이라는 주제가 같이 포함돼서 논의되는 그런 좀 양상인 거 아닌가, 저는 이제 요즘 그렇게 받아들이고 있고요. 하지만 이게 그 세 분께서 발제하셨던 내용에서 도시가 중요한 발전 방향의 친환경이라는 테마를 아주 크게 놓고 가는 그런 경우는 아직까지는 조금 우리 같은 경우에는 좀 부족한 거 아닌가. 그래서 지속 가능한 발전을 위해서 이 친환경이라는 부분을 단지 뭐 환경을 친환경으로 만든다는 게 아니라 거기에 일자리도 있고 이제 도시의 여러 가지 경제적인 효과까지 있다라고 하는 게 좀 같이 연결돼서 좀 추진될 필요가 있는 거 아닌가, 개인적으로는 그렇게 좀 생각을 합니다.
그렇습니다. 채팅방에 어떤 분이신지 모르겠는데 올리신 질문은 저거였는데요. 지금 적절한 답을 한 것 같습니다. 네, 죄송합니다. 한글로 되어 있습니다. 시민들이 사실은 동의하지 않는 경우도 많다. 주민들이 친환경적인 것을 동의하지 않는 거죠. 근데 제가 이제 좀 고백을 하자면 한국은 산업구조 자체가 사실은 제조업 중심이고 제조업 중에서도 여전히 중화학공업 중심입니다. 그래서 그것 자체로 그 기후 위기에 대해서 어쩌면 나쁜 영향을 끼치고 있는지도 모릅니다. 이런 상태에서 어떻게 사람들을 설득할지 그런 지혜가 혹시 있으신지 궁금합니다.
Well, sometimes citizens need help to know what's better for the city in terms of future. Because if you remember, I said we are not thinking in 4 years, we are not thinking in 10 years, we should be thinking in 20, 50, 100 years ahead. When we decided to transform the city through the Guggenheim effect, the citizens from Bilbao, the populations, and many of the social agents of the city were against that. Why? Because sometimes we are thinking about what is more secure for us. And what's more secure for us? Those things that we already know. And you have a long way on industrial manufacturing, as we had in iron and heavy industries right in the city. But the change was needed. We were losing one of the richest things we had, the river. Don't forget, all the transformations of the city of Bilbao have been thanks to the river. That's the the richest thing we've got in the city. We have spent 6 times more cleaning the river than building up the Guggenheim. I am sure that the Guggenheim shouldn't be successful if we hadn't cleaned the river. It was needed. That's why I understand the governor saying that's not the same situation. But I think that the smaller steps have to be started right now. Otherwise, climate change is a reality. That's something that's affecting the whole of the world. So I really would say that maybe sometimes we have to, teach our population, try to give them tools so that they can be aware of how important can be to be eco-friendly. In this case, call it whatever you want, industrial developing, but also private uses, because most of the pollution, in terms of energy, for instance, 70% of the energy consumed is produced by private users. So we, as particular persons, are also very related to the success of a better environmental world. And don't forget that if we don't do that, we will be applying for the whole world, because it's not only for my country or for my city, but it's for the future of the humanity.
Anything to add?
I would want to know, if I were in your shoes, of the trends impacting your area. How many of those trends do you think are unmovable? They're global trends. And how many of them can you impact? And trying to, obviously, like we all are, trying to find the wisdom to know the difference. And on the trends that you are just not going to be able to impact, automation. There's going to be continuing regulations on dirty industries. If not from national governments, it'll be coming through other means, market responses. What's your backup plan? And that's exactly what we're here, you're all working on. But you have some of the most successful, you have local plants, you have local outposts of some of the most successful industries in the world. And I would tap into them for their analytics to help answer that question. Because they're having to help, they're answering that question every month and every day when they decide to reinvest in this shipyard or buy a greater stake in a shipyard in Vietnam or some other lower wage company. It goes without saying, but it's worth repeating. This is really, really hard transition. Because if you're a politician and you say, based on the facts, the shipping industry, shipping manufacturing industry is going to continue to decline, that feels to the workers like you're giving up on them. But if you can partner with them and other governments, national and other governments, to figure out that, of that trend, again, of more and more of that going to off to other countries, how much of that, if you retooled yourself, reskilled yourself, could you keep here locally? You know, that's a conversation that I'm sure you're having and you need to continue to have. But because they're operating here right now, no company that I've ever talked to in my entire life says, yeah, in 5 years in our plan, we're giving up on you. You know, it just doesn't operate that way because they might decide to change their mind. Trends might change. And it's their business. It's their right to do what they want. You only have so many dollars to invest in your transition. And the transition is massive. So make sure you choose it wisely by being as smart as you possibly can on, again, figuring out what trends you cannot change, but what backup, you know, what you can still get out of those declining business sector, and what are the opportunities that the skills, the innate skills that you have, This is one of the most productive, innovative countries on the planet. I would want to know of every youth that left, I would hire some of these smart firms that you have here to go interview them, the youths that have left, the youths that are at risk of leaving, or why they left. And maybe you've done that. When we did that in Portland, because we were losing families with children, and finally we went out and hired a firm that interviewed the families that left. And what they told us was, Portland's not a bad place, but it's expensive, and we can get a bigger, newer house in the suburbs, and by the way, the schools are better. So we then worked on the schools, knowing that was of course, a family retention issue. And we worked on making it easier for people who had older homes to be able to retrofit them. That you didn't have to go through a 3-month permit and $500 to put a new bathroom in, those kinds of things. So you can chip away at it, but I've always benefited from having more data and more insight than anyone else in the room. Companies have it for themselves, but not necessarily for the state or the region. But there are a lot of smart people that have retired from those companies or work for those companies and could volunteer for you to get the kind of insight writ large that I would want to know to figure out my plans moving forward.
포틀랜드시의 데이터가 욕심이 나기 시작합니다. 그 친환경 아젠다는 이제 우리 대한민국에서도 사실은 좀 이렇게 주도적인 아젠다로 바뀌어가고 있는 것 같아요. 어느 기업도 마찬가지고 사회도 마찬가지고 정부도 마찬가지고 친환경 화두 없이 뭘 하기 어렵게 돼 있는데 문제는 우리가 이제 도시를 바꾸는데 도시의 미래를 설계할 때 친환경을 그 도시의 중요한 프로젝트로 놓고 도시를 설계하고 있느냐 하는 데서 약간 차이가 좀 있는 것 같고요. 근데 저는 앞으로는 가능할 거라고 봅니다. 이게 이제 우리 20대, 30대들을 보면 환경이나 생태 같은 이런 사회적 가치에 대해서 되게 중요하게 생각들을 합니다. 근데 문제는 이 20, 30대들이 정치적 영향력이 적은 거죠. 우리 사회에서는 투표도 잘 안 하고 그럼에도 불구하고 이런 환경 문제라든지 이런 데 대해서 적극적으로 이제 목소리를 높이고 있는데 그래서 이게 정치적으로 그걸 풀어나가는 것도 중요하지만 또 하나가 지방정부가 꼭 해야 되는 것 중에 하나가 이런 젊은 친구들이 지방정부의 아젠다를 세팅하고 방향을 만들어 나갈 때 참여할 수 있도록 하는 거버넌스를 어떻게 만들 거냐. 그 친구들이 들어와서 함께 논의할 수 있는 구조, 함께 협의하고 도시의 방향에 대해서 고민하고 결론을 낼 수 있는 이런 구조를 거버넌스를 만들어주면 그러면 그런 사회적 가치가 중심이 되는 새로운 도시의 방향을 설정하는 데 도움이 되지 않을까. 그래서 아까도 말씀드렸지만 오늘 이 포럼에서 새 도시가 그런 거버넌스를 만들었던 경험들 이런 게 우리한테는 정말 중요한 경험이 아닐까. 어떻게 만들어냈고 지역 주민들 어떻게 참여했고 그다음 그 긴 기간 동안에 그걸 계속 유지했는데 우리 그 말매 시장님은 19년을 장기 집권을 하셨으니까 가능한데 우리는 그게 불가능한 구조에서 그러면 그 거버넌스를 어떻게 유지해 나갈 수 있을까 하는 그런 고민들이 좀 있습니다.
이게 딱 저 창에 올라온 질문이기도 하고 아까 저희가 미리 준비한 질문이기도 하고 해주셨는데요. 그 두 가지 점을 말씀을 한번 해주시면 좋겠습니다. 첫 번째는 주제를 청년으로 바꿔서요. 젊은 영거 제너레이션으로 바꿔서 청년들이 말매의 경우에 말매 대학을 강조하셨는데 실제 말매 대학의 학생들도 도시에 영향을 주었는지 참여를 했는지 또 다른 빌바오나 포틀랜드의 경우도 젊은 사람들이 도시의 운영에 참여할 수 있는 길이 어떤 것이 있었는지 이게 첫 번째 제기하신 질문이시고요. 두 번째는 조금 더 넓게 그 거버넌스의 청년뿐만 아니라 시민들의 거버넌스의 구체적인 형태, 아주 구체적으로 어떤 단계로 그것들을 장기 집권하셨으면 그런 대로 아니시면 짧게 집권하셨으면 어떻게 장기적으로 거버넌스가 가도록 만드셨는지 좀 구체적으로 틀을 얘기를 해주시면 좋겠습니다.
Yes, I can start with that. Of course, having a new university, of course, is very nice, and we worked very hard with that. But we didn't want to have a normal university. we said we have the biggest university in the Nordic countries in Lund, 16 kilometers away from Malmö. And they have been there since 1666 with all these old faculties. If we will want to have a new university in Malmö, that must be something special. First of all, we don't want to have the traditional faculty borders. We want to be cross-scientific. So, for instance, it's technique and environment, health and society, culture, communication, cultural communication and art. So we put together these because in that way we attract the most brilliant professors from different parts of the world because they find that this is a better way of doing research. We attracted professors from MIT and like that. That was how we started to be a hub for gaming industry, that we have lots of the big companies in the world of the gaming industry is located in our city, in fact. And then starting the innovation process, that starts in not primary school, but secondary school, where we say we want to create greenhouses here to learn the children, if you have an idea and you should like to explore that, make a company, how is that to be done? So they started in small and they get help to do that. And then we had competitions of innovation together with, in this place with Hong Kong. They built up a science park there at the same time. And then those that made the best innovation in the secondary schools in our province, they went to Hong Kong, and the best from Hong Kong came to us and celebrated in that way. And then we started the incubators at the university. Incubators that students, while they were students and having ideas, help them to build a business plan. We get what we call business angels, elderly, retired people from companies come there and help them to make the business plan. In this way, we get 8 new companies in Malmö every day, and 2 are closed down every day. But this process that changed the mind of the people. When I was a student in Gothenburg in the 60s, and asked my friends, where do you want to be in 10 years? Oh, they want to be in a research laboratory in a big company or a big state institution or something like that. If I make the same question today, most say, no, I should like to have my own small company together with 10 or 15 other persons that we should work on something that we think is important. That's a mind shift that is enormous among those that are young today and we that are little elderly. And the future, we are not the future. They are the future. Their mindset is the most important to follow up and find in that way. And back to the issue, biodiversity, climate change, these are primary issues. And these are addressed also on the international society, that we don't have so much time. So those that are working with that, those are the heroes today. And those are attracted by young people, by bright people to want to find solutions on it. And we are very much focused on building products with small things in nano-tolerance and whatever it is. But for instance, tourism. Tourism in Sweden is it second or third biggest export industry. Tourism means that you come from another country with foreign currency, and that on the balance on our national budget, of course, is very important. So in that and tourism industry, and today it's ecotourism and things like that, where you pay quite a lot to have experiences in that, and that creates jobs in different parts of the country. On the countryside and many other places, you must think in a much wider way than have these factories in front of you and other sort of factories. The world is changing, and it's a wonderful world.
네, 박수 크게 한번 보내주시죠. 크게. 네. 제가 추가 질문 하나만 드리겠습니다. 한국에서도 르팔로 시장님께 한국에서도 청년들이 스타트업 창업 굉장히 많이 하고 싶어 합니다. 그런데 실제 어디로 어디 취직하고 싶어요? 물어보면은 제일 많은 청년들이 공무원이 되고 싶다고 합니다. 왜냐하면 평생 동안 보장이 되니까. 창업하면 말매에서도 매일 2개씩 망한다고 하셨잖아요. 그렇게 망하면 먹고 살 수가 없으니까. 그게 두려워서 그렇거든요. 말매의 청년들은 그런 두려움을 안 갖고 있습니까?
I don't believe that security is in the way that we organized life before. The factories that were staying forever. Everything is changing all the time in much shorter period. We have to live in other ways than we did before. And of course, those that have tried one idea, it should never be a catastrophe to try the next idea. That is the way that we are building up the security system. One person that has failed is much better the next time.
It's true, but I also think that we have to be honest with young people. The three of us have been saying that in the last 20 years we are coming out from a crisis. Those young people nowadays are children who were born during those crises. So they are looking for security in the future. I can understand that. That's our challenge. Our challenge is to let them know that things are changing and also employments are changing. Labor market is changing, and security is not working for this as a civil servant unless you want to serve. Because don't forget, the main point of civil servants is to serve the society, not to get a secure job for all your life. If you are going into civil servants only thinking about getting a salary for all your life, we are doing something really, really bad. I'm sorry, but I don't share that idea. Really, we've done something wrong for the last years. When we were young, when I was 18, I was studying medicine because I am a doctor, and I am working at politics, but I am a doctor. I was charmed. I was in love with public politics. Why? Because I wanted to be part of the future of my country. In the case of the Basque country, of a free country, of a new city. And now we are not being able to involve young people into the project. Not the cities, not the regions, nor the countries. They only take part in those things that they are interested, as you said, for instance, climate change, and they are looking for different models that we, public services or public administrations are offering. I am really worried about that. I am really worried because sometimes we think that we can be the voice of the young people, and no, they have to be the actors of their own film. As you said, we are not the future, they are. So let's try to improve the participation in making the decision for the next future years. How? It's difficult, but that's the challenge.
네, 그러시면 그 참여를 김경수 지사님께서도 이제 경남에서 하고 있는 청년 참여 틀을 말씀해 주셨는데, 청년들이 실제 이 도시의 개발이나 또는 이 시의 행정, 도시의 삶의 변화에 어떤 방식으로 참여를 하게 했던 경험이 있으신지, 혹시 있으시면 좀 나눠주시길 부탁드립니다.
In Portland, we created a Portland Youth Commission that's shared with the county, so our two local layers of government. And they can choose to weigh in on anything that's traveling to the city council for a vote, for consideration. They're key in a key input at a variety of places along the way for the update to our strategic plan, and to ensure that we have diversity. And this was put together by Mayor Tom Potter, who was the mayor before me. And so it wasn't my idea, but it was a great idea. Making sure that they can participate, including transportation, including it's always after hours because our schools end at 3:30 or 4. So there's the support for that. It means that educating them on the issues, the people that they want to hear from, which aren't necessarily, to your point, the traditional people like I would necessarily invite to somebody. So there are other models around the world that at least begin to require the voices of youth be included in the official, at least the official decision-making process of local government. I think it went a long ways in Portland to the positions now to get on the youth commission in the city of Portland now are coveted. There are a lot more applications. It didn't start out that way, but there are a lot more applications now to be on it than there was at the very beginning, because they come report directly to the city council what their recommendations are on specific issues that we are then voting on. And I will tell you, it has a real impact. That's one just concrete example.
우리 그 좌장이신 이원재 소장님이 워낙 청년에 관심이 많으셔서 청년과 관련해서 계속 질문하시는 것 같은데, 제가 궁금한 거는 그 이제 말메 2000이나 포틀랜드 계획이나 빌바오도 마찬가지고 이 주민들이 다 함께 참여해서 거버넌스를 만들고 거기서 장기적인 계획들을 계속 세워 나갔던 거 아닙니까? 그러면은 그 거버넌스를 만들 때 시가 있고 행정부가 있고 그 의회도 있을 거고, 그 외에 주체들이 어떤 주체들이 참여를 했고, 근데 여기 행정이 끌고 가기 어려울 거란 말이죠. 그러면은 행정과 파트너가 돼서 주요하게 이 계획을 만들어냈던 주요한 파트너들이 어떤 파트너들이 있었는지, 그 다음에 이게 그 진행되는 과정에 분명히 여러 가지 위기들도 있고 그 순탄하게만 진행되지 않을 텐데, 그런 어려움들이 있을 때 혹시 어떤 어려움이 있었는지, 그런 극복은 어떻게 했는지, 그런 사례들이 있으면 좀 말씀을 해주시면 도움이 되지 않을까 싶습니다.
Of course, you have obstacles all the time, so it's when you open your eyes in the morning as a mayor, you always ask yourself, what will be the problems I have to face today? And you have the TV cameras outside and newspapers and everything, and of course you have to address these sort of things. But anyhow, you should never forget the goals for what you are doing. If you don't understand that, then you are solving only the day's problems, and then you don't know what path you are walking. So you must be very clear what you are doing. For instance, when I start a big project, and I know that there is quite tough discussion about it, then I must find that part that I'm sure that I could be successful in. And in that part, I must be very strong in participatory action, so that in a period of less than 1 year, the people that has been taking part of this transition can see the result of it. And when they feel proudness that they succeeded in this way, then I can take the next issue that is more difficult. So you must always be clever in that way. If you start with the wrong issue, then you are out. And as a mayor, you want to be re-elected and re-elected and re-elected and re-elected, so you must find the way.
Which you've been very good at, by the way.
No, but I think you must use that possibilities. People are like that, and if you are successful, then everybody that is working as civil servants in your city, everybody feel that I have been part of this. What I did in my job was creating this. And the people that work in the business sector or those in schools feel the same thing. Then you have had the success story because they have used their creativity in finding the right solutions. So as a politician or a leader, you should not, if you're high up, you shouldn't steal the possibilities to make decisions lower down. Leave those decisions to those that can do it closer to the citizen. So that is also a lesson that I learned through these years.
It's my turn? Okay. Well, I was thinking about the question, and I will differentiate two answers. The first one is what we are doing now. For participation, it's difficult to use it for all the things that we have to deal with every day in a town hall, of course. But for the main decisions, it can be the plan for the next 4 years or the plan for the next 20 years, I think that listening and discussing is really helpful so that the population can believe on the project. And once that they believe in that, they get involved. And as you mentioned, they get very proud when their results start. But also saying that it means that if fails, the failure is also collective. Because sometimes we think or we speak in terms of participation as only getting success. And that's not true. When you are making a decision, you may fail. And then you say, no, it was the mayor. No, it was all of us together. If we are able to agree about that, then we can work together. That's the first thing. We've got different commissions, councils, with very concrete projects where we discuss with all the agents of the city. It's not always possible, as I told you, but we've got, for instance, a main council representative or commission with all the different stakeholders of the city, even private citizens, that once a year at least we meet all of them together. We publish which is going to be our program for the year, what we are going to develop during that year, and we wait and ask them for their opinions and also for the changes they should make on that. We also do that with not the whole of the budget, of the town hall budget, but we've got 2.5 million of our public budget, which is decided in every district of the city, with the representative of the associations, of the commerces, of the association, of the ONGs that are working in that very particular district. And they are the ones who will decide what do they want to be the priorities of that money in the district, in the neighborhood where they are living. Those are some of the examples that we've got. But the second part of my question, of my answer, is that we've got an opportunity, the opportunity of new technologies. The new technologies make us the possibility of showing what we are doing, of trying to advance which have been our decisions, which have been even our problems, because maybe we can, listening from the population, we can solve them more properly. I think that we should take advance of smart technologies, smart tools in the governance of whatever it is. Let's say a city hall, or let's say a provincial government. That's a good way nowadays, and maybe we are able also to attract more young people to let us know how they are feeling about their territory, about their city, or about whatever it is.
In the city of Portland in the 1970s, out of concern that public input was lagging, and as you saw in my slides, the city was going through a 25-year transition economically. The city of Portland, the first city in the United States, established 92 neighborhood associations around the city, and then staffed them with staff, spending $4 million a year on the staff to support the logistics, the meetings, getting the word out there's going to be a meeting, helping what the issues that they needed to, that city government was going to be deciding, and helping those neighborhoods learn about that issue and then provide their opinions back to City Hall. So the city started spending a significant amount of money to have lots of people yell at it on every issue. And it's awesome. Now, it's considered broken in the city of Portland. There's a major crisis on the issue of citizen involvement. So clearly, this is an issue around the world. It's definitely an issue in the United States. So right now, the people that are largely involved in our neighborhood associations tend to be white, higher income landowners as opposed to renters and people of colors. So it's time to reinvent again. But I think the underlying premise is still true based on our experience, is that for people to get involved, they're going to need some support. They're going to need some staff. Those people that are staff for these neighborhood associations are not at our direction. They're at their neighborhood association's direction. So the city of Portland had to risk some control and had to risk looking bad, and I put that in quotations because I think that feedback has been really good. Share with you just that experience.
네, 저 굉장히 좋은 말씀들이 많이 나와서 시간이 금방 가버렸는데요. 이제 조금 정리하면서 마지막 질문으로 말씀을 드려야 될 것 같아요. 나온 질문 중에 중요한 게 굉장히 많은데요. 카톡창에 조금 이제 나중에 좀 더 소화를 하기로 하고, 지금 핵심적인 것 중에 하나는 이런 것 같습니다. 공통적으로 말씀하신 게 환경이든 뭐든 간에 시민이 참여해서 테이블의 주체로 섰을 때 이게 장기적으로 계속돼서 변화가 일어난다. 이 말씀을 김경수 지사님부터 시작해서 리팔루 시장님까지 모든 분들이 다 해주셨는데, 그 참여를 어떻게 끌어낼 건지에 대한 게 사실은 한국에서는 굉장히 큰 과제가 아닐까 하는 생각이 듭니다. 그게 어떤 요소인지 좀 혹시 지사님 좀 나눠주셔도 되고, 다른 분들 생각이 있으시면. 지금 한국에서는 참여가 잘 일어나고 있지는 않거든요. 아마 행정에서는 시민들이 참여를 안 하고 있다고 생각할 수도 있고, 시민들은 참여 기회가 없다고 생각하실 수도 있는 것 같고, 먹고 살기 바빠서 못한다고 생각하실 수도 있는 것 같은데요. 이 문제를 어떻게 풀지, 요거에 대해서 좀 말씀하시면서 마지막으로 조금 더 하실 말씀 있으시면 정리 말씀으로 해주시면 좋겠습니다.
Maybe you are working so much in Korea. So I remember we came from the airport yesterday evening quite late, and I saw that many of the office buildings still people were working at 8 o'clock in the evening, and of course from my point of view the question is, are we living for working, or are we working for living?
I would figure out what works in terms of public participation. I'd figure out what works for your culture, for your ethos. If people aren't going to show up to a meeting, how else can they show up? Is it through electronic communication? Is it an annual survey? Is it what is it that would actually have the opportunity to be, if it's done every year, people get to opine on what concerns them most or ideas they have. If that happens year in and year out, when administrations change, that becomes the continuity that you might need to have that long-term 20 or 40-year growth. You'll always have the citizens in a way that you'll figure out, giving you their feedback on how you're doing. But you got to figure out in a way that if people aren't going to show up to a meeting, and in Portland, same thing. Most people don't show up to a meeting. I started doing mailed surveys to every household. And with postage paid return, which was a big deal. It was very expensive, but people loved it. And then the 20 people that show up to a neighborhood meeting, they didn't love it so much because there's a whole bunch of people whose opinion was in that meeting, but they couldn't attend.
I agree with any of those proposals, so I am going to add something new. If you let me advise you, or let me share, more than advise you, share with you our experience. First, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of participation. Nobody wants the worst for the place where they are living, for the place where they belong. You may think that I am being sentimental, but that's the truth. We love our families. We are not going to do the worst for our families. So the same, the citizens about the cities and the territories. And don't be afraid of showing ourselves as we are, of showing our project, of asking. The difference doesn't mean that you have in front someone against you, only that thinks differently. That's it. And I think that enriches everybody. And that must start from ourselves. We have to prove that we are the best civil servants that the cities have for them. If they are confident about us, they will be involved in our proposals. And they will be really ready to also share their ideas with us. And they will realize that working is also part of building the city, not only in the office. So really, I just invite you to be confident of our population. Don't be reluctant about how they may receive when we ask them. And walk along the streets of your cities. Walk along the neighborhoods. Visit the schools, the universities, the private companies. Let them show yourself, mayor, councillors, that you are persons that are working and that are paying a service to the society and also to the future of the cities. I think that confidence between people, and don't forget, we are persons, citizens are persons, is the best of the issues for a success.
우선 대한민국 사람들이 정말 일하는 시간이 길다는 지적은 객관적인 사실입니다. 전 세계에서 OECD 국가 중에서 가장 노동 시간이 긴 나라가 대한민국입니다. 그만큼 열심히 일한다는 뜻이기도 하지만 실제로 이게 워라밸이라고 하죠. 일과 삶의 균형이라고 하는 게 지금 이제 좀 바뀌어야 되는 그런 시점에 와 있는 것 같아요. 대한민국 사회가. 그래서 우리 말매 시장님 말씀하신 대로 다음에 대한민국에 오실 때는 사무실에 불이 좀 더 꺼져 있는 대한민국이 될 수 있도록 노력을 하겠습니다. 이 참여가 어려운 이제 우리 행정을 직접 해보니까요. 어려운 이유는 저는 좀 그렇게 느껴요. 그러니까 참여할 수 있는 기구들은 위원회부터 해서 여러 가지를 많이 만들어서 진행을 합니다. 도만 하더라도 각종 위원회가 정말 많아요. 근데 그 위원회에 들어가 보면 위원회에 참여하는 민간 위원들하고 정말 시간을 가지고 충분히 토론하고 그 위원들이 갖고 있는 서로 다른 생각들을 어떻게든 조정하고 그 회의에서 조정이 안 되면 다음에 또 더 연구해서 그 다음 회의에서 합의를 만들기 위해서 노력하고 이런 위원회는 거의 없습니다. 그냥 형식적으로 우리 행정에서 준비해 놓은 회의 자료에 거기에 이제 코멘트 정도 하는 수준 그리고 이제 예정된 결론을 내리는 그런 참여 방식이 많은 편인 거죠. 그러니까 이렇게 해서는 이게 이제 실제로 제대로 된 거버넌스다라고 얘기하기 어려운 게 이제 그게 우리의 고민인 거죠. 근데 이런 얘기를 할 때 우리 이제 공무원들 같은 경우에는 어떤 또 문제 제기를 하냐 그러면 그 토론하고 그렇게 해서 언제 결정하냐 행정이 좀 앞장서서 끌어가야 되는 역할이 있어야 되는 거 아니냐 이런 문제 제기를 늘 합니다. 그래서 사실은 궁금한 것 중에 하나가 그런 이제 참여나 이 시민들과의 협의 과정에서 행정기구들은 어떤 역할을 했는지 이런 게 좀 궁금하긴 한데 시간 때문에 좀 어떨지는 모르겠는데 저는 개인적으로 우리 사회에는 행정이 끌고 가는 역할 이제 좀 더 나아야 되는 거 아니냐. 그동안 충분히 많이 끌어왔는데 이제는 정말 한번 좀 시민들의 토론, 시민들의 협의에 여러 가지 그 의제들을 던져놓고 거기서 내리는 결론들을 기다려줄 수 있는 그런 좀 시간적 여유가 필요한 거 아니냐. 이게 이제 선거제도 때문에 19년씩 할 수 있으면 기다려줄 수 있는데 우리는 4년밖에 못하니까 그래서 그런지 모르겠지만 그럼에도 불구하고 그렇게 해서 결론이 내려져야 정치적으로 좀 변화가 있더라도 그 시민들이 계속 끌고 갈 수 있지 않을까 이런 고민이 좀 있습니다.
저기 시간 조금만 더 써도 되나요 혹시? 너무 좋은
Yeah. Just one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, we are mixing, which is our time and the city's time. If we really live in participation as something that will contribute for a better future, it can be your project, Governor. It can't be my project. It has to be the project of the city. So who comes next, we have to be, she has to be able to continue with that. We can't forget that city projects and so are participatory projects, they need time. And maybe we are not successful sometimes because we are always in a hurry because the decision has to be for tomorrow. No, let's talk about something for the next 10 years. And we won't be in a hurry.
Amen. 저 마지막에 굉장히 좋은 질문이 오셨는데 이거 한 번만 좀 여쭤보고 마무리를 했으면 싶습니다. 저게 지금 지사님 말씀하신 거하고 일맥상통하는 건데요. 리팔로 시장님은 19년 하셨지만 시장 19년 하셨는데 혹시 본인이 한 4, 5년만 하시다가 다른 분으로 넘어가시거나 했어도 이 일이 전환이 지속되었을 그런 시스템을 만들었다고 생각하시는지 그게 좀 궁금하고요. 그 다음에 다른 두 시장님과 부시장님께는 샘 아담스 시장님하고 저 사가디 부시장님께는 거기 정권이 계속 바뀌었지 않습니까? 그랬을 때 이전에 하던 정책들 한국에서는 보통 다 뒤집게 된단 말이죠. 또 내가 하던 거 다음에 뒤집고 그런 일이 혹시 있었는지 어떻게 막으셨는지 궁금합니다. 리팔로 시장님 먼저 좀 말씀해 주세요.
Yes, I think that we changed the system in the way that my successor that came after me is a young female. That's wonderful also. An old man is replaced by a young female. That the next generation and also gender equality. Normally in Malmö we just had old men as mayors, so that's the change. And she won the last elections, so now she's in the second period, so we'll be staying at least 8 years. And I think that the way that we are handling the things, that to understand that don't make too much political problems with things that you can't take care of. make political discussions of things, of taxes and things like that, but the long term, you must find consensus. You must find a consensus for the way of living for a city. That, I think, is very important. And involving different disciplines, that helps you to do that. As a mayor, you shouldn't only listen to your staff and those around you. You must choose to have lots of clusters that you are meeting. Young people, business sector, banking sector, building sector, transportation sector, NGOs. Having these meetings is very important so that you get influence from all the different parts of the society. I think if you do like that, then you can see what issues are important for the future and what is not so important that other can take care of.
What I can tell from our experience is that political how would I say it? When you have different political parties going and coming from the government, things are much more difficult. In Bilbao, we have been successful, it seems, because we have changed mayors, but we haven't changed political parties. Since democracy was installed in Bilbao, always the same political party, which is my political party, the Basque Nationalist Party, has been elected by the population of Bilbao, because we must learn from that. We have been elected. We weren't there because we decided that we were going to be those civil servants. They decided about who was going to run the future of the city. Stability in that is very important, and it helps a lot. In that sense, what I can say is that when we plan those big projects, we are not talking in terms of persons. We are talking in terms of political parties, and maybe that helps it. Because it doesn't matter whether it's me or it's you. It's our political party. Our political party is supporting the project for the city or for the region or for the province. That helps a lot because it's not mine. If you come after me, you will follow with what was our original project. Of course, 40 years of the same political party with any problems with transparency, with no problems with our ethics, and so have helped a lot the city of Bilbao. Maybe that's the clue, no? That we can continue with the work even if we haven't started, and that we shall leave it quite clear for those people who come behind in order that they can finish developing it.
I guess I have a clarifying question. What percentage of local voters turn out to vote on elections here? What's the public participation rate more or less in voting? Is it robust or is it anemic or what?
지방선거 제가 당선될 때는 투표율이 약 60% 정도 됐고요. 그 다음에 60%는 50% 조금 넘었고 총선은 60% 정도, 대선은 70% 정도 이렇게 보시면 됩니다.
So those are reasonably robust turnout elections, and you can put advisory. So people turn out to vote. They might not show up to meetings, and maybe that's part of the culture of this country. So you can put advisory votes on your ballot, which other countries do. They're probably not. They can't be. They can't decide things. In Oregon, where I'm from, people can put anything they want on the ballot, and if it passes and it's constitutional, it becomes law. We were the first state in the United States to do that, and you can do that at a city level. I don't think that's allowed here, but you could do advisory votes, and then you would have a reason for both sides to go out and campaign one way or another. So again, for me, Portland's culture is not your culture, but figuring out and trying stuff out. Just continue to try stuff out. What a great legacy that would be. And again, I think it would be that sort of continuous thing that's always there, and that is people having an opportunity to express their top concerns. And maybe you keep it simple.
예, 그 포틀랜드 시장님 죄송한데 저기 정당 소속이 어떻게 되십니까? 두 분은 민주당이시던데.
Well, the tradition in the United States, with a few exceptions that you probably might see on TV, is that local electeds are not. We don't run on a party. So you'll hear about New York City is partisan. You'll hear about Chicago is partisan. But almost every other American city, there's no party affiliation at all. And so that's because, and I like that, even though I'm a Democrat, I like that because it takes away sort of that ideology, at least in the United States, which is very divided ideologically right now, and makes it more about what's the problem, what are the solutions, what does a particular set of candidates want to do about those problems.
I just wanted to make a point is that my political party is not a Democrat party. It's a member of the Democrat group in Europe, but we are a nationalist party and we only run from the Basque Country. We are not in any other region of Spain. We are very small, smaller maybe than most of the parties here for sure, but our advantage is that we are from the very local place, and usually everybody knows us, but we only run for the Basque Country municipalities, provincial governments, and regional governments. We are in Madrid, in the national government of Spain, but we make a difference between being from Spain and being from the Basque Country.
그 정당 문화가 확실히 좀 다른 것 같기도 하고, 그 다음에 포틀랜드 시장님 말씀하셨듯이 우리나라가 이제 이 양당의 정치적 갈등이 대단히 심각하면서 실제 그게 지방자치에도 여러 가지 악영향을 미치는 그런 현상이 좀 실제로 있습니다. 저는 이제 민주당 소속인데, 이전에 경남 같은 경우에는 제가 이제 민선 7기 시장입니다. 7번째 도지사인데, 이전에 도지사들은 대부분 보수당 출신이었던 도지사들이었죠. 그러면서 이제 어찌 보면은 그 시장 군수나 도지사가 그 지역을 위해서 얼마나 발전시키고 그리고 지역 주민들에게 많은 혜택을 주었느냐라고 하는 게 투표의 기준이 아니라 어느 당 소속이냐라고 하는 게 투표의 기준이 되는 그런 좀 정치적인 환경이 좀 있었습니다. 이제 아마 민선 7기부터 그게 좀 바뀌어가고 있는, 그렇게 해서 실제 지방정부의 장이 얼마나 지역을 위해서 열심히 일을 했느냐가 아마 다음 선거에서는 기준이 될 수 있는, 이제 그렇게 가야 될 텐데 그렇게 될 수 있을지는 조금 불투명하긴 합니다. 아까 말씀드렸던 대로 공공참여라고 하는 게 결국은 선거를, 이런 정당의 문화를 바꿀 수 있는 중요한 그런 좀 기제가 아닌가라고 생각합니다. 실제로 이게 어느 정당이냐만 놓고 투표를 하게 됐을 경우에 가질 수 있는 여러 가지 위험성이 있는데, 그게 실제 지방정부의 행정 과정에 시민들이 가능한 많이 참여를 하고 거기서 거버넌스를 만들어서 실제 자신들이 결정한 여러 가지 프로젝트들이 진행되는 경우에 그 프로젝트를 찬성하고 이어가겠다는 사람에게 투표하지 않겠습니까? 그렇게 되면은 그 사람이 바뀐다 하더라도, 그러면 그 프로젝트는 계속 이어질 수 있는, 어떤 투표 결과가 나오더라도 이어질 수 있지 않을까. 그래서 사실은 이런 프로젝트의 영속성을 만들어내기 위해서도 사실은 공공참여나 거버넌스를 지금보다 훨씬 활발하게 만들어내는 것이 지금의 정치 문화를 극복하는 길이 되기도 하는 것 아닌가, 그런 생각도 좀 듭니다. 그래서 경남도뿐만 아니라 우리 각 시, 군에서 오늘 세 분께서 말씀하셨던 그런 도시의 미래를 놓고 이루어졌던 여러 가지 시민 참여와 거버넌스의 과정이 우리 경남에서도 좀 더 활발하게 이루어질 수 있도록 해 나갔으면 좋겠다 하는 희망을 말씀드리고요. 그런 점에서 오늘 세 분께서 오늘 포럼에 참여하셔서 말씀해 주신 내용들이 저희들한테는 피가 되고 살이 되는 정말 중요한 내용들이었다는 점에 대해서 감사드립니다. 네, 이상입니다. 고맙습니다.
박수 한번 보내주시죠. 좋은 말씀이신데. We want to add. 네, 오늘 이제 시간이 뭐 너무 늦어서 좋은 말씀 많으신데 마무리 지어야 될 것 같은데요. 이 세 분이 한국에서는 지금 슈퍼스타가 되어 있으시잖아요. 말메, 빌바오, 포틀랜드가 굉장히 우리에게 매력적인 도시로 알려져 있는데요. 저희 이 시간 말고 앞으로도 계속 좀 교류를 할 수 있도록 인사도 나누시고 뭐 세 분 시장님, 부시장님께서도 앞으로 많이 도와주시면 좋겠습니다. 이 분 세 분 모시기 굉장히 어려웠는데요. 또 저희 경남도의 사회혁신 추진위원회 자문위원장 맡고 계신 송경용 신부님하고 윤난실 추진단장님 굉장히 많이 도와주셔서 가능했고요. 저희 랩2050의 황세원 실장도 굉장히 역할을 많이 했습니다. 세 분께도 포함해서 연사분들께 뜨거운 박수 보내드리면서 마무리하도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.